Today I want to take a look at Captain Price and what happened to him after this.
Wouldn't do you any good.
I think exploring his descent to madness after killing General Shepard is very interesting, and wondering and speculating what he's been up to over the past 3 years also opens up the discussion for a lot of great theories. Now, before we get into what I think happened, we need to look at what we know is fact. Sadly, the seasonal story after Modern Warfare 3 was literally non-existent. The only thing that came out of that was that Andrei Nolan escaped imprisonment and attempted to take over Urzikstan, and that apparently Task Force 141 was sent in to help. So in reality, we know that not long after the events in London, which caused Soap's death, Captain Price gained access to General Shepard's office inside the Pentagon. Now, it is hinted that he did so with the help of his old friend, Kate Lazwell.
How did you get in here?
Mutual friend.
Lazwell.
During this final meeting, General Shepard insisted that Captain Price was better than this, but Price argued that maybe in the past they were, but not anymore. And this led to Captain Price killing Shepard in cold blood. What we see next is Captain Price leaving the Pentagon, and that was the last time that we officially see him until 3 years later in Modern Warfare 4. Now, since we have an idea of what happens in Modern Warfare 4, we can assume here that after killing Shepard, Price goes off the books and becomes a wanted man. He becomes the outlaw. Lazwell literally tells him in the Modern Warfare 4 trailer that people are still looking for him. Price made the decision with a clear head to do this. That's what makes it even more serious or worse. He didn't react in a heated moment. He literally spread Soap's ashes. He hiked back down the mountain with his brothers in Ghost and Gaz, and then he planned this with Lazwell, got access to the Pentagon, and committed the crime. This was thought out heavily, so we know that throughout the events of the rebooted trilogy, Captain Price has constantly worked in morally gray situations. At times he ignored orders, he bent the rules, and he even kidnapped some people to get someone to talk. But we always heard him say things like this:
We get dirty, and the world stays clean. That's the mission.
So we assumed that he was in control and knew he had to go to places others wouldn't to keep the peace or because the operation they were in required it. But murdering General Shepard completely changed him. Price basically took justice into his own hands and became judge, jury, and executioner. And I don't mean to be dramatic, but he does. And according to reports, he would literally do it again. Now, does killing a dirty general and an absolute batshit crazy ultra-nationalist terrorist make Captain Price a fucking villain? No, but it does make him a criminal, because after years of teetering the line, he finally fully uncrossed it. And mentally, that's when he became the outlaw or went rogue. Something I also find interesting is that we're all pointing the finger at Price. He is the criminal, he is the one who did it, he's the one who needs to get fucking killed. But what about Kate Lazwell? I mean, unless something big changes in Modern Warfare 4, or they outright say that Price worked alone, why isn't Lazwell being punished as well? Because based on what we know so far, Lazwell definitely helped Price get inside the Pentagon. Now, I think there are some reasons why Lazwell helped Price. First and foremost, I think she believed that Shepard would never answer for his crimes. If anything, it would be embarrassing for the United States to admit what happened. So maybe they would give him a little slap on the wrist and nothing more. But Lazwell was left to die by Shepard, and we know that she can hold a grudge. Maybe she felt Shepard deserved what he got, and unleashing an angry Captain Price on him was a win-win for her. Because make no mistake about it, Kate Lazwell is one of the most ruthless characters in all of Modern Warfare. Now, the second possibility is that Kate Lazwell only intended to help Price confront Shepard, and anything he did was all on him, and she wouldn't approve of it. Maybe that's what she told him, or maybe she never expected him to execute him. If that's true, then Price's decision may have surprised even her. However, I doubt that Lazwell would be that naive. But I think there's a third possibility, and this one seems to be the one that's the most interesting to me. What if Lazwell never fully cut ties with Captain Price after Modern Warfare 3? Officially, Price is a wanted man. I'm assuming not only by the United States, but also by his home country and the Special Air Service. Now, unofficially, Lazwell may be feeding him information, warning him about investigations, and quietly helping him stay one step ahead. That would explain how someone as recognizable as Captain Price could disappear for 3 years without being captured by some of the world's biggest intelligence agencies. With all of that out of the way, we can take a look at what Price has been doing for those 3 years. The first thing is that Price probably spent those 3 years hunting Vladimir Makarov. Even after the events of Modern Warfare 3, Makarov's influence is still huge and his threat is massive. He still has many connections across Europe and more that we don't even know about. So I think that Captain Price realized that to fully stop Makarov, he had to destroy everything that he had built. And without Task Force 141 and the backing of the Special Air Service, this would probably become a lot more difficult. So I think Price would use everything that he knows and all of his years of experience to get any information on anything Makarov related. And he would spend his time taking down those with connections to Connie Group and Vladimir Makarov. I think the biggest question to come out of this is why? And you might think, well, duh, it's to kill him, but what if Price was actually trying to capture Makarov? Maybe Price thought that he couldn't capture Makarov because the law held him back. But if he took matters into his own hands, he could catch Makarov, turn him in, and show that no matter what, he was still on the side of keeping the world safe. And although that wouldn't undo all the bad shit that he did, it would at least help and maybe make his conscience a little bit more clear for the death of Soap and any other crazy shit he did in those 3 years he was hunting. And maybe the only reason he ends up killing Makarov in Modern Warfare 4 is because something unexpected happened that forced him to abandon the pursuit of capture and actually kill Makarov. Now, the other thing that I think happened during those 3 years was a slight change in the relationship with Ghost and Gaz. Now, everyone assumes that Ghost is looking to kill or capture Price. Why? You're telling me we are expected to believe that Price killed Shepard, went rogue, and then disappeared for 3 years without him saying anything to Ghost or Gaz? Ghost and Gaz watched Shepard betray Task Force 141, and because they didn't check to see if Makarov was truly dead after the joint attack in Modern Warfare 3, this allowed Makarov to plan his attack and head to London, which basically put Soap in Makarov's path. I definitely think both Ghost and Gaz would hold General Shepard somewhat responsible for Soap's death. And ask yourself, would Ghost and Gaz really have been shocked that Price finally went after Shepard? No. Let's not forget that Shepard had already tried to have Ghost and Soap killed in Las Almas during Modern Warfare 2. He betrayed the team, worked alongside Graves to cover up his own mistakes, and Ghost especially never cared for General Shepard. In fact, during Modern Warfare 3, Ghost even suggests that if they know where Shepard and Graves are, why not simply send a missile and kill them?
Lazwell, if you're tracking this, let's call an airstrike.
Ghost, that is not nice.
What you up to?
I'm up to doing my fucking job, kid. You should try it sometime.
That tells you everything you need to know about how Ghost viewed General Shepard. So would Ghost really lose any sleep over Price pulling the fucking trigger? No. No, and no. I don't think that Price killing Shepard is where Ghost and even Gaz say, oh yeah, he needs to be stopped. Because if we remember, Gaz has followed Price since the events of Modern Warfare 2019, and he's seen Price operate in the gray, and Gaz himself has operated there with him. Plus, Gaz also knows what Shepard has done to him and his team. I find it very difficult to believe that either of them would completely cut Price out of their lives, or vice versa. After all, from what I've learned from covering COD and learning more about the military and the special forces, these guys have a bond and they build a brotherhood. I think that's what Price, Ghost, and Gaz have. So I definitely see a scenario where maybe Price decided to keep them at arm's length to protect them a little bit. The more Ghost and Gaz knew about what Price was doing, where he was, the more risk they would face if the Special Air Service found out and started asking questions. So maybe Captain Price kept contact to a minimum. Maybe the occasional message or maybe something small to let them know that he was still alive. And I think that's a much more believable outcome than Captain Price vanishing for 3 years without Ghost or Gaz ever hearing a single word from him. If everything we've just talked about is true, then Modern Warfare 4 presents one massive contradiction. Because if Price has stayed in contact with Ghost and Gaz, and maybe even Lazwell over the past 3 years, why does the revealed trailer seem to tease a confrontation between Price and Ghost?
You broke a lot of rules, Price. No more rules.
Now, at first glance, the first time you see it, it might seem like Ghost is confronting Price. And honestly, looking to take him down. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he is, but I doubt it's because he killed Shepard and went rogue. Maybe Ghost can't understand or justify why Price is working with criminals like Valeria and Las Almas Cartel. Maybe Price went too far and now Ghost doesn't believe he's in control anymore. And if you pay close enough attention to the trailer, you see that Price and Valeria have held up a train with civilian hostages to try to make an escape and not be captured, presumably by the Shadow Company. So Price is literally putting civilians in danger, which is hard to justify. For us looking in, it feels that way. Imagine how Ghost feels without all the knowledge that we have. You know, we're watching it happen, so we're like, oh shit, man, maybe Price did lose the plot. Well, imagine if Ghost, who hasn't seen him and doesn't, he can't hear him, he probably thinking the same thing, like, okay, yeah, maybe Price has completely lost it. But the other big possibility is that it's all a big ass misdirect, and Call of Duty and this trailer is deliberately misleading us. That conversation between Ghost and Price could be missing all of its context. For all we know, Ghost and Price are discussing an operation, and following the rules is no longer an option. And so, after all of this, I ask you one simple question. Where the fuck is Gaz?